It's a vicious circle. 2.7 million American children suffer the loss of a parent to prison. That's abandonment. Ironically, these parents suffered trauma when they were young too. Along with abandonment, the list includes homelessness, bullying, child abuse, starvation, alcoholism, addiction, domestic violence, sex abuse, trafficking, violent crime, and witnessing murder. These emotional experiences profoundly stress the nervous system of young people, and without help, they don't grow out of it. They grow into it, leading to very harmful behavior. Unresolved trauma can twist and ruin the rest of your life. Whether you're a child or a combat vet, trauma can land you in prison, homeless, alcoholic, addicted, or dead.
I was convicted of first-degree murder, shooting into an occupied motor vehicle, and a gang enhancement. My sentence was 25 to life plus 5, so it was 30 to life. Wanting to fit in, this is what men do, all those things we tell ourselves, these stories, right? Breaking free of that and making that transition into my true authentic self, who I really am, not the person that I was at that point in time when I was 17 years old in that car, with a loaded weapon, thinking that I was Mr. Bad and gonna, protect the gang or do whatever. The funny thing about life on this side of the wall is there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress, there's a lot of things that happen daily that if you don't center yourself, if you don't have that peace and that center, right, it can throw you off the track where you'll either end up back in prison or you'll be running.
I grew up in a dysfunctional environment, dysfunctional childhood, so I had a lot of trauma suppressed within me. But yoga have taught me how to be aware of that trauma when it come up in triggers and whatnot. It done taught me how to breathe through it, get through stressful times.
In the beginning, my attitude toward yoga was physical, but then I realized it's much deeper than the physical. It's actually a mental, like James said, a mental awareness, If I can breathe through difficult poses, then I can translate that into my everyday life. I can breathe through difficult situations. So I learned in yoga the power of my breath, and that changes everything, man. It changes everything, for me at least.
The effects of chronic trauma are stored in the body. Victims learn not to care what happens to them. Our experience with thousands of prisoners over the last 15 years shows that they have a better chance of making it on the inside and on the outside if they can shake those effects. We teach them yoga to reconnect their heads, their hearts, and their bodies. A disciplined yoga practice helps them begin to respect themselves. They begin to respect others. Over time, a visible transformation takes place. They open to take responsibility for the harm they've done to themselves, their families, and their victims. They begin to see that successful life outside is based on changing the behavior that got them in jail. Yoga creates room for self-reflection. Over time, they change. They behave differently because they're treated differently.
I set up the Prison Yoga Project with the mission of bringing yoga into prisons everywhere. What started out with just teaching a class a week has turned into a whole project and a whole life's endeavor now. And it took a while because I would show up with a yoga mat under my arm and I would get different kinds of comments from prisoners and prison staff about, is that a yoga mat? Well, what's that all about here? But over time, the word got out. Hey, this is no joke. This is helping me with my sleep. This is helping me with the stress and anxiety that I'm experiencing. This is helping me get in better shape, and so on and so forth. So the program grew over the years. And so now it's got a reputation. I actually have easily 50 guys on a waiting list to get into one of the classes. Anybody who's in a prison setting is exposed to trauma on a regular basis. So again, it's really imparting some of these skills through yoga, how to deal with these issues when they arise. The National Council on Crime and Delinquency, which is a nationally recognized organization, came in and did a study of my program in 2012. And they found that participants in my program had more emotional control, calmer temperament, improved rational decision-making, relief of chronic pain. And this is the kind of feedback that I get from my students.
In one word, everybody has their own one word. What is it that this gives you?
Peace. 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 Tranquility.